Yeah, I mean the repetition obviously just kind of is the mother of success at every stage of the game. The more focus you have, the more your energy is going to flow in that direction. You're not going to find that in college or a YouTube video specifically. You're going to find that for somebody who's built hundreds of offers for other people that have already sold hundreds of times. When Jeff Bezos came up with the idea of Amazon, how long did just the offer come up for him, and how many people helped him evolve that just to get his name even known, right? To get the first sale in the door. And then launching Amazon Prime. Like, how complex, how many billions of dollars did just the $99 idea cost him?
We hopped on for like half an hour and got me everything that I needed. You had the links to everything I couldn't find. And we're just like, yep, do this, do this, do this. And it was easy. I had no hesitation to do that at all. I knew that I could just hop on there and do that. And, just anytime there's a question, get in the chat. We've got our group chat or the support chat where any questions can get answered and get checked up on every week, without fail. The biggest game changer without a doubt was the setter, was Rigo. I think people very much underestimate the importance of a great setter following up with your leads, doing outreach, connecting with people. It's a lot of time. Like I literally could not do it myself. I tried to, didn't work. I am ridiculously impressed every week when I watch the ads calls, because I think people think, all right, well, I'll just white label it and it's freaking expensive. And, you never know what you're going to get. And I watch Cody do ads for people in a million different niches and just blow them away. And I see people be like, oh, look at those results for this niche and this niche and this niche and this niche. Like, you don't get that. If you don't have a setter, get a well-trained setter. It will reduce your stress and transform your agency. Like, you can't have mine. Don't talk to him. He's mine, period. Don't anybody take him because he's my dude. And then if you have questions about pretty much anything in your agency, you get them answered on calls. And they're regular, and there's so many people that you can follow who have been where you are and where you are now, where you want to be.
Today, we got another amazing student spotlight, and this one's going to be a unique twist because I think it's important that we're going to see how to kind of not only create the offers that we talk about, the traffic, but also leverage talent, like humans that can take on your persona, take on your culture, and then do the thing you want them to do, free up your time so you can do things like be with your family and kind of take off and graduate from that hustle and grind and get a new hustle and grind. So today's going to be a little bit special. So our guest is Mark Volzer. So Mark, thank you for joining us. Why don't you give a minute or so introduction about what you do and who you are?
Mark, I've had a very interesting background that would take forever to go through. I got back into running my own agency about 6 years ago. Prior to that, I was the vice president of marketing and branding for a tech firm. It was the worst job I ever had. Hated it. Left that job, had 0 clients, 0 business, and was like, all right, no parachute. This is what I'm going to do. So we started with the generalist agency for a long time. Then a couple of years ago, moved into having a niche agency for window tinting, mostly for homes and businesses, but we do work with some that do automotive. They also do paint protection, ceramic coatings and stuff like that. So what you're looking for?
Cool. So you mentioned you started off as a generalist agency. What caused you to realize that it wasn't the right thing to do, that you needed to be a specialist?
So we still have the legacy agency. We just don't actively grow it. If a referral comes in, we'll take it, but I don't do any advertising or push for that. Basically, I was looking for something to specialize in. We had a niche agency that was working with restaurants that was doing real well. That kind of runs itself. And I was looking this was pandemic era. And so in case restaurants completely fell apart, I wanted to have a backup. I already had 3 window tinting clients that I'd gotten, starting with a friend of mine from high school who had a window tinting agent or window tinting company, worked with him, got him results, got referred to another company, got them results, got referred to another company, got them results. And so I was just like, okay, nobody else is doing this, so I will try this one. So probably not quite 2 years ago, started the niche agency for window tinting called Tint Titans, and really like dove into learning that industry and, how to build sites for them, do SEO for them, do Google ads and Facebook ads for that industry, since it's very niche and different audiences than most, similar to some home services, home improvement type audiences, but a little bit different from that, even just because most people don't even know you can tint the windows of your house.
Right. That's interesting that you pick such a thin niche and we're still able to become profitable. Like how many clients are you working with approximately now?
27, 28.
27, 28. Okay, that's perfect. So like what I like about the niche and kind of jump in and add on top of it or disagree, whatever. But like, had you just stayed a generalist? Because I noticed that like the first thing agency owners do is they want to serve everybody. They have the most amount of product line. They have the most amount of industries they can serve, but then they don't know how to say what they do. That's kind of what I've noticed. Like, what do you do for a living? And it's like, well, they stumble and fuck up. Right. So like when you decided to make that change, like had you not made the change, I guess is the question. What do you think things would have turned out to be? Would it be just a big general mess? Would you be offering website SEO, PPC, graphic design,
it would
like everybody
still be,
else?
It would be, that side is still kind of a mess because there's some clients that I've had for 6 years that we do services for them that we don't do for anybody else. So, that's not something that I can scale. So we don't offer them to anybody else. Like if anybody else comes in now, I'm like, no, I'm not doing social media management for you. It's just not something that we do.
Can you dive into that a little bit more? Because I think that's super important. Like we have a lot of younger agencies in this group that constantly come in with that kind of a thought process. It's like, well, I don't want to say no to opportunity. I don't want to say no to opportunity, but can you talk about the common issues you had by servicing everybody? Stuff like, off the top of my head that always comes up is, what you have to fix individual problems all the time. You're having to do complete custom work, draining your hours all the time. Can you talk a little bit about how becoming the specialized agency that you are shifted that and what the pain points were before that, just for other people listening out there?
So the more things that you offer, the more problems that you can have, right? And I find that most of the issues that come up that are going to take the most time are the things that are actually the least value for a client. Like if you're doing 5 Facebook posts a week, that's very visible and it's very custom and it's a lot of opportunities for a misspelling or something little that is very inconsequential, but in terms of what your client sees, it's right up front and center. And in terms of the value that it brings, it's minimal. Like most businesses are not going to get a lot from posting to their Facebook page. They're just not. But that's a lot of opportunity for things to get messed up and to cause controversy and to hurt your relationship with the client. Whereas if you are doing Facebook ads or Google ads that are bringing them leads, most of the times they won't even see them. And if they do see them, they don't really care as long as they're seeing business from them. And if you get into doing email marketing for them, there's so much back and forth on creating that content. There's just a lot of opportunities for things to go wrong and a lot of opportunities for you to have to fix little things and put out fires that you don't have to put out if you're concentrating on like the high value activities that are repeatable.
So basically it just causes more headaches, more time, they're individual, unique problems, and it just costs a lot more money.
Yeah. and it takes more of your time because just for instance, we have one client we've had forever that we still do social media posting for. And the person who supplies the content sent us something. He labeled it incorrectly. So when it got posted, it was posted incorrectly. And it caused, people at the company freaking out like, oh, this is incorrect. It doesn't matter that it was seen by 6 people. It just matters that somebody at the company saw it, so they were mad, and that rolls down to the person on my team who does the posting, the person that is in charge of the account for the posting, to me to have to call the client to explain to them, no big deal, this is what we'll do in the future. This is how we make sure it doesn't happen. But the hours that it took out of my schedule and out of other people's schedule for this really tiny problem that only exists because we do this service that isn't particularly high value, it was a big cost in terms of opportunity cost.
Right. So now that you've niched, have you noticed that like you're happier on delivery and the people that are your contractors and help you are kind of have like a productized, repeatable knowledge base to be able to deliver?
Yeah, there were hiccups along the way. I had to find a white label provider that could help with certain things as I was getting going while we figured out our processes and what we wanted to do for SEO and Google ads. And there were services I thought at the very beginning, this is something I need to offer, but it was, even if they were high valued, it was just so much stress and work on my end that we stopped doing it just because it was too much trouble. So we kind of had to figure out, okay, these are the core services that we want to offer because we can deliver them. They're going to deliver great results. The client's going to be happy, and it's not going to stress me and my team out to a level that's just not worth continuing. And it's not going to be a huge onboarding headache.
I mean, that's cool that you learned that. I mean, some of it comes through trial and error because from an entrepreneurial standpoint, in your head, every idea is good. And then when you get into execution and you're thinking, well, this is so easy. All I have to do is sell it for this, deliver it for this. But then you're not taking into account like the scale part. And then when you're outsourcing stuff, your outsourcing partner has to be on board and it has to be like something that you can actually sell, not a one-off sale. One-off sales suck because then you're going to fuck it up anyways. You got to find something that you can do repeatably and profitably. And then you can think of the word scale. Like, and scale means a lot of things to a lot of different people. But that just means how can you make more money faster? Like, how can you sell the same thing over and over? Kind of like Starbucks does. Like Starbucks has this coffee. They can scale this. They just brew a bunch of coffee poured in a cup and it just turns into a power plant, right? So it's just kind of going and going and going. And that's kind of where we talk about the assembly line agency that Mark's built. It all starts with the niche, right? Like imagine if Starbucks started selling like computers there. It'd be a pretty fucking big mess if baristas had to talk about like Intel chips, and that's what agency owners are doing. And until they kind of get their shit together and just commit and you have to get over your own head because it's like the scariest thing in the world is to niche. And because you think you're an overachiever because you put CEO on a business card. But you become the janitor at first and you kind of climb the ranks within your own agency because you're going from a job to $0, 24 hours, and there's no boss telling you what to do, when to do it, and you're training yourself. So there's like good luck.
I think it's made everybody's life easier. Like it made my setter's life easier because he's only talking to window tinting companies. And sometimes they'll ask him, I'm like, hey, I've got a company that does plumbing too. And he's like, well, this is just what we do. If you want, I can connect you with someone from this agency. And he just sends it over to somebody on the legacy side, but he doesn't have to talk about it. Like he only has to talk about window tinting. And so over the time that he's worked with me, like he didn't know anything about it when he started, but now he understands kind of the ins and outs. He's answered the same questions over and over. He's had the same conversations over and over, and it just makes his life easier that's all he's talking about. He doesn't have to know answers to lawn care questions and tree service questions. He's just answering questions about flat glass window tinting, some automotive and some occasionally other services, but he mostly can just focus on these are results we've gotten for flat glass clients.
Right. And had he had to answer that question, and you didn't make that leadership decision to kind of stay focused and be a specialist and known as a brand authority in one individual niche, then imagine like the questions he'd have for you every day, how much time that would take out of your day. Because then you're
for both of us.
Yeah, you'd be in a rabbit hole yourself, like trying to figure out, well, fuck, of course I can get them over to me. They get over to you, then they're unqualified. Then you just wasted your fucking time, but you have a full calendar. And worst of all, it's not monetizable. Right. So I
don't think he'd be happy.
Yeah. No, and he wouldn't be happy. Exactly. So speaking of happiness and speaking of the theme of today, like you saw the post, we're talking about like a dialed in offer that includes understanding the pain that you solve and who you solve it for, the traffic sources, and then a setter. This is where we scale through manpower, through people, because if you don't have a setter, guess what? You're it. And it's not something fun unless you have massive amount of fucking tenacity and relentlessness where you will not sleep for 3 days, 4 days straight stretches like a fireman and just do the motherfucking thing. Then you can handle both. Because that's how a lot of people do it, like the Gary V's, etc. They're just going to hustle, grind, and go. But for the rest of the world, the 99% of everybody else, or maybe higher than that, this is what we need. So the theme of this is how Mark has a trained setter leveraging it, and how we helped him place that person and train him ongoing so he gets the necessary skills. Because the question I have for everybody in the audience right now is training something that is done, or is training is something that you do? Now, going into this, like, first of all, like, how did you even come across us in the first place?
I don't remember exactly, but I know it was something to do with the setter. Like I've seen you in groups forever, basically. And then I had a previous setter last year, 2022. She was all right. Like, she tried real hard, but she had health problems and family problems, and she had to resign. So I needed to find a new one. And I tried a couple other solutions that were total disasters through different outsourcers, and then saw yours. And I don't remember what the post was. I was just like, all right, let me hear about it. And we got in a call, had a conversation about it. You explained the training process and everything they go through. And I was like, all right, sign me up. Let's do it.
And then right after that, we went into the GSD program, right?
It was a little bit. It wasn't right away, to be honest with you, because I've had great coaching experiences and I've had terrible coaching experiences. And honestly, my philosophy was, let me see how this setter does, and let me see if they do what they say they do. Let me see if he's as well trained as they say he is. And he was, and then some. And honestly, like, the onboarding process that first conversation that you and I had, the onboarding process for getting Rigo on board was so smooth that I was like, all right, I had no doubt that he was going to be successful, just because that went off without a hitch. And that's never happened. Never. Nobody else I've ever worked with ever have I had an onboarding process or that first conversation process where everything just went, and he was ready to go day one. Like, we had a few conversations. I walked him through stuff. I showed him what we do and how we do it. And he was ready to roll day one, following up with all the leads we had gotten from the last year. And within 2 weeks, I was like, all right, he's doing exactly what they said they were going to do. And I think we had a conversation probably 2 weeks after that about joining.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So now Rigo's on board without a hitch. That's fucking awesome. And then now, what's he doing for you specifically?
So he handles anytime leads come in, he follows up with them, gets them booked on my calendar. He does outreach by text and email. He's just starting to get comfortable on the Facebook outreach side. Mm-hmm. But he's a killer on the phone. Like, he has no problem. I mean, he'll do 100 calls in a day, no problem. And he sends me his goals every morning in our Skype channel, what he's trying to get done every day. Like, he's constantly throwing me ideas on texts he can send, emails he can send, messages he can send, ideas. Like, he updates the pipeline in terms of, like, adding different stages to it, where he's like, it'll be helpful for me if I had this stage to keep me clear on who's where. And I'm like, dude, you do it.
So you found a leader inside of the setter, somebody that can do the thing and kind of own the position. Because that's where, when we're training and placing, and we're doing it for even our own internal hiring, everything we do for ourselves is what everybody else who works with us gets too. It's just our systems, our process. Because our whole thing is, when we hire you, you become the CEO of your position. Like, we technically should be working for you, and we don't want to be, we want you to be the leader. We'll guide you along the way, but then lead us to the path of your CEO-ship in your position. Own it is really the whole thing.
Yeah. If ever I say to him, look, if you have, I'm like, I want to hear your ideas. Like, when we're trying to come up with, like, some new angles and stuff, like, he and I talk about it, and he always has great ideas on, different ways to go at things. And he's very good about telling me the points of resistance and friction that he gets. So he's like, hey, I've had a lot of people mentioning this. What do you think about that? I'm like, okay, well, you could tell them this, that, and the other thing. Here are some results. This is what they're asking about. Like, if it's something specific that he doesn't know about the industry, he very clearly will just come to me and ask about it so he can have clarity on it. And he's always having ideas, like, we do monthly webinars, and he'll be like, can I just ask people if they want to come to the webinar if they're not ready for this, that, or that? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. Add them to it, send them the invites, do all that. And he's great about that.
That's great to be proactive, especially when they're going to be the lead getters for you, like warming them up, getting them off the skepticism boat, getting on the right side of the fence with you, et cetera, just kind of inching and inching closer. Because like, let's just say you didn't have Rigo and you had to do it. Like, how would that change your day?
It would
For those of you
suck. I
guys
couldn't
that
do
aren't
it.
listening, we had a
I
visual.
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Period. Could not. Period. Could not.
Yeah.
Not possible.
Right. And going back, because I know you mentioned you've tried all these other coaches and other solutions, because there's a lot out there. There's a lot of options people have. There's a lot of ads. When you click on one, you'll see a million others. Like, what about like the other setters that you got? What was the reason you think it didn't work out from the start?
So like you'll get promised that they speak perfect English and they don't. Like horrible, like terrible. You know, you'll get on, they'll send you example calls and it's people who speak perfect English, and then you listen to your calls and it's somebody who can't pronounce your name or the name of the business. And just, you know, like that was one that I worked with. And after like that day, like, what is going on? Like, who is this person? This isn't even the person that I talked to. Like, what are you doing? Others where like they just weren't trained, you know, like training an employee is weeks and weeks of process on the best case. And that's, you know, what you guys did is they were ready to go. Like they knew how he knew how high level worked. He knew how to call. He understood like sales process and had a clue about, you know, he had no fear when it came to getting on the phone. You know, like that's, if I were to have to train somebody from scratch to do that, it would take me 2 months to get them. It would take me longer than that. I don't know that I could do it, get over to that point. And there have been, you know, other setter companies where like I'm telling them the absolute basics of high level. Like I'm having to walk them through as if they've never seen it before. And that, as anybody who uses it knows, that's a deep darn rabbit hole you can go down, you know, much less training them how to use a call script and how to, you know, follow up and like why they have to call a lead back within 5 minutes and, you know, how to do all that sort of stuff. Like I never had another setter company deliver somebody who was ready to go. And when I mean ready to go, it was like 2 conversations and he was like, okay, you know, I understand. And he was ready to go on day one. It wasn't like I had to teach him everything to get him started because I wouldn't have had time to do it. He was ready to go. It was like plug and play, and he was awesome. And like another thing that I didn't even think about, and I don't know, probably not true for everybody, bilingual. In my industry, there are lots of Spanish speakers, and Rigo can talk to them when I can't. Right? Mm-hmm. So we've had calls where we jump on and he translates. Like that was a huge, huge benefit.
Right. So we got some ancillary benefits from dual talent. Yeah. Rigo's just turned into like such a hustler. I love it. And I love that terminology too, because I know that people hate the hustle economy. I fucking love it because you need that grit. You
want to have it in your employees though. I hate it for yourself, but if you don't have an employee that's willing to go the extra mile and hustle a little bit, you're going to have a hard time. So I love hearing that and about the guy's growth and all that stuff too. Because I remember that guy specifically and he seemed like he was going to be a great fit. So no, that's amazing.
Now, going into your offer, because I know that you mentioned you run the agency for a long time. You went from generalist to specialist and committed and went all in. Then we got Rigo. Then you joined the GSD. Like, can you talk about the experience from your first touch point from the onboarding side of like the coaching experience from like your first call with Cody, getting your formula and roadmap laid out?
So that was super helpful because the thing I'm always worried about is there's just too much shit. Right. And if you don't know, like if you just hop in the course, you're like, holy shit, there's like 200 hours of stuff. What the hell do I do? Because I very much will fall for that and go, I don't know what's next and just not do any of it. So having that was very helpful. And I got off to a very good start with it, then had some health stuff that I had to deal with that just took me out of it. And like having Rigo again saved my ass because he could do the stuff that I didn't have the time or the bandwidth or the capability to do for several months. So that was life-saving. And, you know, had a catch-up call a couple weeks ago to kind of get me back on track. And that was very helpful. And I've been spending the last couple weeks, all right, getting my ducks back in a row, refiguring out the offer to relaunch our ads and our outreach that had fallen off because I haven't been capable of doing it just because of real life stuff that was on my plate. But even like in our conversation, I was like, okay, point me back to the very first thing we did so that I can go through it. And just looking at that again, I'm like, okay, this is the shit I didn't do before that I've got to get back and step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes hitting that restart button at the stage you're at isn't necessarily you're starting from scratch. You're rebirthing from like 10 times further ahead because you get stuck. Every stage has a new stuck level, and you guys should be looking forward to getting stuck again because that means you're growing. If you go off without a hitch, you're probably flatlined and don't give a shit, and you're just lifestyle business. But if you're trying to get to that growth, the 30, 40, 50 on up numbers where it's like big boy numbers and like you can tell your parents you have like a real business, that's when you're going to constantly get stuck. And especially if you're providing and you are the parent for your own family, then you need that fucking money. Otherwise, you're always going to be checking the bank account before a nice dinner. And that shouldn't be the case. I mean, we're in 2023. There's like, I know when I was younger and I was starting my business or even in my teenage years, my dad would say, you have it so easy. You have all this opportunity. And now I'm telling the youngsters, I'm like, you have it so fucking easy. You have all this opportunity. There's just no reason not to do it unless you do it alone. That's just going to be the fact of life. And that used to be a television show back in the 80s too. Facts of Life. Mark knows. Cody won't. He's not that old.
Take you good to take the bad to take them both. And there you go.
He knows the theme song still. I love it. Awesome, man. So the offer, like, cause you and I just spoke maybe like a week, 2 weeks ago. And the first thing you said is like, I need the student folder. I need that first call. I need to rewatch it to see what blind spots I have to get back up to speed. Like, how does that help you having that kind of community and access to be able to like bounce shit around so you don't kind of figure it out alone and always, cause like, this is my perspective. When I figure things out alone, it's always the best idea ever. When I'm going into execution, knowing that I came up with it, I think it's the best idea ever. I kind of have this thing dragging me back in the back of my mind saying like, is it right though? And then when you have that, is it right though? You're like, all right, I'm not going to go all in. I'm going to go in, but I'm not going to try as hard. And then it takes a little longer. So how's that been helpful for you having that community behind you?
Like the chat and seeing other offers that other people are doing and what's resonating has been very helpful because like you said, like I can have an idea of like, oh, this will be great. But if I look at what the other ones are, I'm like, mine doesn't look anything like that. I don't think this is going to work. And so having that to be able to bounce off people and say, okay, what's missing from this is very helpful. And going back in the past sessions, also very helpful. Like I haven't been able to attend calls because of my situation. Like I just haven't been able to have, an hours during the day to do it. And just getting back to doing that, I'm like, God damn it, these are so helpful. Like sitting in these are helpful. And the thing that I like is they're, in my mind, they're working sessions because you see stuff actually getting done. And the repetition of this is the structure, this is the style, this is the technique, hearing that over and over again can just bore into your brain. And having had to be away from it for a bit, it definitely left my brain. And then just sitting in the last couple of days and hearing it again, I'm like, God damn it, you know this. You were hearing this every day 3 months ago. Why did you forget about it? So having that was, reaffirmed in the last couple of days, like, okay, you know exactly what you need to do. Just fucking do it.
Yeah. I mean, the repetition obviously just kind of is the mother of success at every stage of the game. And because everybody, like all of us are busy, right? We're busy doing all kinds of shit, multitasking. People are probably listening to the live, checking email or Facebook or whatever, right? So it's like when the more focus you have, the more your energy is going to flow in that direction. So it's like if the biggest bottleneck in someone's life is my offer is not selling, we got to fix the fucking offer. We got to fix the niche. We got to fix the price point, fix the presentation, fix the marketing assets. The just needing an offer thing, when it's the most important thing in the world, you're not going to find that in college or a YouTube video specifically. You're going to find that for somebody who's built hundreds of offers for other people that have already sold hundreds of times. And that's really the most important part. Because I kind of always think about, like, when Jeff Bezos came up with the idea of Amazon, how long did just the offer come up for him, and how many people helped him evolve that just to get his name even known, right? To get the first sale in the door, and then launching Amazon Prime. Like, how complex, how many billions of dollars did just the $99 idea cost him? Like, that's kind of what goes through my head. It's because they're committed to making something bigger and work, not necessarily rushed and failed. Right. So that's why, like, offer becomes first, traffic source is second, leverage with setters is third. Then the sales process is next. Then the delivery mechanism, so it's repeatable, is next. Then the scale factor is next, the upsell ascension. And that's kind of what we've kind of built. And when you said those 200 hours of videos, think about how many hours of, like, time people spent in a 4-year university, probably 10 times that, and probably came out dumber because they got a beer belly to go with it. That's my take. And that's kind of where I'm a proud 5-time dropout of 5 different universities. And now I invest in dormitories. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so somebody who's, like, out there, like, who's been stuck on the fence, they've been through the ringer, they've got coaches, they've got everything in front of them, but they're just still not getting there. Like, what would you tell that person that's considering the GSD and, like, is just so scared and skeptical and fearful and has all the excuses in the world to figure it out on their own? Like, what would you tell them about joining the GSD community so it can further their benefit in their life?
I mean, the thing you'll find is there are people in there who are at every different level. Like, there are people who are, just starting out and have 0 clients and got from 0 to 20K in 6 months because they followed it. There were people who had agencies and were looking to do a niche agency and get that rolling and needed specific help with their offer. There were people who had larger agencies already and were looking to scale it. There are people at every level. So, like, no matter what level you're at, you get enough personal tension on whatever your issue is at the time, and you can follow people who are at your level or were at your level, and get a roadmap to get where you want to go. So it doesn't matter if you've got 0 clients, 10 clients, 20 or 50. There's somebody in the group who has done that and more that you can look to for guidance and a roadmap to follow.
Right. Now, inside the program, because I know that a lot of people who are, like, new or maybe think they're a little further than the head than they are, like the 10, 20K guys, they want it, like, I want everything done for me, but then they can't afford done for me. Right. So, like, we've designed this program to be done for with you. Now, what does that mean? Like, it means you need ads done. Cody's going to work on your ads with you live on Zoom. Other people, you're going to have an audience. So you'll have eyeballs where they're learning that process as they grow. You need your organic content. Like, you learned how to write content on the content thing when you said it's a workshop. People are showing you how to do it. In fact, they're writing it for you with you live on Zoom, showing you how to leverage AI, showing you how to leverage writing content in that converts, because that's how you met us, is through content that Cody wrote. And then I just copied and pasted it on my profile. Next thing you know, wow, we got a client out of it. Not just one in Mark, but many, many, many more. Hundreds of clients that have come through our low ticket to high ticket stuff that we educate people on. So this is as done for you with you as humanly possible, with 24/7 access, but also every call is every day, right? So you can jump in, jump out as you see fit. So if you want to learn and level up your sales pitch, you have the option to role play. You have the option to rewrite your script, done for you with you. Because if we write it, hand it to you, you're fucked. You're not an actor. You need to role play that sucker, right? So we're going to hold every single person and human accountable, more accountable than we even hold ourselves, because it's a product we sell. If we sell it, we need our motivation is we're going to drag your ass to success because our reputation means more than anything. So when people don't show up, you're going to hear from us. You're going to get a mouthful. It's almost like Bill Belichick yelling at Mac Jones in today's era, or Brady when they were the Super Bowl champs, right? We'll give it to you. So we have accountability rolled into it. Now, when you feel like you're stuck, do you feel comfortable so the audience knows that, like, hey, these guys are here to help me, or is it something where like, oh man, I'm paying them, but I just don't like showing up? Like, where's your take?
So I mean, as soon as I knew that I was going to be able to be back focused, the first thing I did was set up a call with you.
Yeah.
To get my questions answered, and because to be like, all right, let's do this. What do I need to do to get back rolling? And we hopped on for like half an hour and got me everything that I needed. You had the links to everything I couldn't find. And we're just like, yep, do this, do this, do this. And it was easy. I had no hesitation to do that at all. I knew that I could just hop on there and do that. And, just anytime there's a question, get in the chat. We've got our group chat or the support chat where any questions can get answered and get checked up on every week, without fail, to make sure that things are moving forward. And when it wasn't possible, people, checking to make sure everything was okay, or as okay as it could be, considering what was going on. So never.
So you mean to tell me that you got one-on-one calls too?
Yes.
All right. That's as much support as everybody needs. All right, Cody, anything to end with? You want to take us home, Cody?
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to know what do you think is one thing we didn't bring up that would be an absolute game changer for any agencies that are out there right now? Because, the main thing I always want everybody to take away, we have all kinds of SMMA agencies, maybe coaches, all this kind of stuff in our group. And I always want to leave them with, what do you think the biggest game changer for you in your business has been to get you from where you were to where you wanted to go next?
The biggest game changer, without a doubt, was the setter, was Rigo. I think people very much underestimate the importance of a great setter following up with your leads, doing outreach, connecting with people. It's a lot of time. Like I literally could not do it myself. I tried to, didn't work. Had another setter. She was okay, but had to leave. Had several horrible ones that weren't trained and couldn't get the job done. Got him, and he's been incredible. And he's been a huge, gigantic game changer. So, like, number one, having a person that you can trust to do that job, do it well, who's incredibly well trained and smart and ambitious and not afraid to have ideas and question things that you're doing to get them better. Like that, number one, easily, without a doubt, the biggest game changer. In terms of something that would make somebody join, I am ridiculously impressed every week when I watch the ads calls, because I think people think, all right, well, I'll just white label it and it's freaking expensive. And, you never know what you're going to get. And like, I watch Cody do ads for people in a million different niches and just blow them away. And I see people be like, oh, look at those results for this niche and this niche and this niche and this niche. Like, you don't get that other places. Right?
Is it safe to say that that's your favorite call of the week? Or is that, would you say that? Is that your favorite call every week?
It's the most impressive. I don't mean that.
I'm gonna throw a jab back. I think his favorite person is me. His favorite call is yours. So you got what you wanted. We're both like, whole here.
I think I'm decent at making ads, but then I watch yours. I'm like, oh, I fucking suck. I'm terrible. Like I shouldn't even bother. Like, why do I even bother setting them up for myself? That's stupid.
I like to tell people that you can white label and you can hire other people, or you can just come to the Friday call and it's the same damn thing. And it's as if you're paying us a shit ton more money than that to have us do it for it. So it's nice that, that's.
And I know I'm terrible at sales rules. So it's like, I watch you and I'm just like, well, I know I'm terrible, but it's like a duffer watching Tiger Woods.
So you're calling me Tiger Woods. I like it. the GOAT Tiger Woods, not today's.
All right, it's like Dwight Howard watching Kobe. How about that?
That's awesome. But just to clarify on the ads thing, this is the benefit of the ads call. And I like it too. I watch it from afar. I don't join, so I don't have to help or answer questions with Cody because he's the master himself. I don't want to interfere. But the cool part about ads is like that's where you fuel your own agency's ads. You want leads, you go to Cody. You want your clients to get leads, you go to the same exact source. You don't have to go to these outsourced people because this is the way it works. Those outsourced people are going to fuck it up. The people that work for them are going to be low wage people. If you find somebody charging $500 a month, they're paying somebody $100 a month or lower. So you're going to get that level of talent. When you empower yourself to control your own agency, control your revenue, and give the client that you sold to the highest capacity, like power, you have a long-term agency because you'll be able to keep them longer. The average agency owner will keep somebody 1.9 months because they're following the same horseshit model. But once you know it, you can train somebody inside. Cody can train that person and they can watch the trainings on our side and learn to run the campaigns themselves. So you have full control over everybody. You actually save money because one person in one niche can probably run 20 to 40 accounts, assuming it's the same productized offer. So think about the massive leverage if you invested into yourself and your own team and said, hey, team, learn this high power skill so I can make 50 grand a month. And then now it's a matter of traffic. Now you got the best of everything. Fuel your traffic on Cody's call. Fuel your client's traffic on Cody's call, right? Simple. And then the rest is offer, sales, messenger, follow-up, CRM, content, organic. Now we're just parlaying ourselves to be like bulletproof and we can't be stopped. Can't stop, won't stop is the mentality, right? That's the real formula is kind of the commitment and the leadership decisions that people make inside their own mind, whether they're going to lead themselves to the valley of the shadow of death, or they're going to lead themselves and take risks and ascend themselves up. For the people that ascend themselves up, you hit up a guy like Cody and you hit up the GSD, right? Well, Mark, anything to take us home? Any last tips of advice for the GSD audience and the crew?
If you don't have a setter, get a well-trained setter. It will reduce your stress and transform your agency. Like you can't have mine. Don't talk to him. He's mine. Period. Don't anybody take him because he's my dude. And then if you have questions about pretty much anything in your agency, you get them answered on calls. And they're regular, and there's so many people that you can follow who have been where you are and where you are now, where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyways, thanks guys for joining us in the audience. #live, #replay. Do a #Mark. Give it up for him for spending some time with us, sharing his work and flow. And just know that everybody's been in the same positions, the same stuck points, health issues, family issues, children, life happens, right? We just kind of have our own goals also that have to happen simultaneously. So Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.